Welcome to the SharkPreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Green. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Green is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Do you want to become insanely successful? Do you want to be the go-to guru in your industry? Do you want to be talked about for all the right reasons? For over 40 years, Kevin Harrington has helped people just like you become significant influencers. Now he's broken the process down in the Key Person of Influence Roadmap, and it's yours for free. Just text KPI to him at 727-888-2100. Text KPI to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free step-by-step guide. Text KPI to 727-888-2100 to get the recognition you deserve and experience the success as the go-to voice everyone listens to in your industry today. Welcome to the SharkPreneur podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Green. Today I have the good fortune to be joined by Eric Lofholm of SalesChampion.com. Eric is a best-selling author, a master of sales training who has taught his proven sales system to thousands of professionals around the world. Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
Seth, I'm excited to be here.
All right, we are excited to have you. I know you weren't always a sales training master and the voice of the next generation. Let's talk a little bit about how you got started.
Yeah, Harv Eker, he has a saying, every master was once a disaster. I remember when I first got started, I was actually terrible, absolutely terrible at sales. I was the bottom producer at my first company. And at the end of my first year, I missed quota 2 months in a row and was told that I had one more month to hit my quota or I was going to be let go. So my back was against the wall and I was right on the verge of losing my job. So if anybody's watching this right now, if you've ever struggled with selling before, or if you're struggling right now, I want you to know I absolutely understand. So I got my start as a sales failure. And my breakthrough happened when I met my first sales mentor, a gentleman named Dr. Donald Moyne, who's a brilliant sales trainer. And he taught me his system, and I hit the quota that next month that I was on quota probation by one sale. In the following month, I did 5 times quota. So I went from worst to first in 60 days. And I've never looked back. I've gone on to do millions and millions of dollars in sales. And I learned from that experience that selling is a learned skill.
Okay, so I'm sure the longer version of that story is in some of your best-selling books. So we won't dive fully into it here. We can send the folks to go get your books. So you learned someone else's proven system. You went from worst to first, as you put it. What were some of the biggest takeaways you learned from that? And how did that lead you to developing your own system that works even better?
Yeah, it really was around how do you organize a successful sales presentation? At that point, I did not know how to prepare a presentation. I didn't know what was successful, what wasn't. And so I learned how to structure an effective presentation, doing things like starting with trust and rapport, identifying needs, bringing benefits to life, having a strategy for how to close. And so I went in with a strategic approach for the very first time. I also started selling one of our higher commissioned opportunities. And one of the areas that I coach on to this day is talking with somebody about, is there anything you could sell that would pay you at a higher amount? And oftentimes, Seth, there are things that people can be doing and they're not doing it because it's out of their comfort zone. And we do what we've always done until we don't do that anymore. And so a lot of times people, they're just in a pattern and they have conscious or unconscious resistance to taking steps that can catapult them forward. And so that's really what happened to me back then. And now I've been in the sales game for 25 years. I've been teaching for 20 years. And so I've really honed and perfected my methodology for selling.
Okay, so you learned someone else's system. You were started out operating without a system, without a process, throwing stuff against a wall.
Yeah.
You were desperate, found someone who knew what they were doing in the sales game, learned their process, applied it, and got literally almost overnight incredible results.
Yeah.
How did that lead you to then putting your own spin on it and evolving it into the system that you teach today?
Well, we all have natural gifts and talents. And part of my natural gifting is teaching. So when I had my mentor's methodology, I started sharing it with my coworkers in my early 20s and started duplicating myself in them. From there, I went and I had a 3-year run with Tony Robbins. I traveled around the country, promoted Tony's seminars. And at age 28, back in 1999, I branched off and started my own training company. I looked out at the sales training landscape and I saw, the top people that I was aware of at the time. They were, of course, all getting older. That included Zig Ziglar, Jeff Gitomer, Tom Hopkins, Brian Tracy, the legends of the industry. And I thought, who from my generation is going to step into that space, that void that's about to be created as they retire or pass. And I thought whoever puts the repetitions in to develop the skill set is who's going to be able to step into that space. And so I started back in 1999. I've been coaching and speaking, pretty much every single business day since then, to really develop my own skill set and then, hone it by teaching others.
Okay, now you mentioned some of the legends in our business, obviously, that we've all read or followed or learned from, I hope. And there are literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of books on sales training, sales psychology, prospecting on Amazon, and thousands, if not tens of thousands of people purporting to be sales trainers. What makes your system so different?
I don't really think of it like that. I just look at results. So I have a client that I'm working with right now. He makes a little over $100,000 a year in commercial insurance, and he wants to go to $500,000 in annual income. And so I'm helping him develop a plan in order to produce those results. And so that plan involves him identifying his top 100 prospects that he wants to go after. Many of these prior to working with me would be beyond his comfort zone. So I'm conditioning his mind, getting him to view himself as the elite commercial insurance professional that he is. And then we're putting a campaign together to touch these top 100 prospects 7 times over the next 12 months. So I don't really know how similar or different that is, what any other expert would advise him to do. What I do know is that he believes this plan is going to get him to $500,000 in annual income over time, and I believe it is. And so my focus has never been about, well, what makes me different than Zig or Brian Tracy or Gitomer? It's simply, what can I do to add value to another human being to help them? And I have had a lot of success working with people all over the world to increase their results.
Okay, and I taught thousands and thousands over the last 20 years and have shoeboxes filled of case studies and testimonials of amazing results. Let's flip it a little bit. Let's flip to the other side. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see sales professionals and business owners who are their chief sales officer making when it comes to growing their businesses?
Well, I'll give you a golden nugget that very few people, they don't do this. And it's such, to me, so obvious, right? And if anybody watching this actually does what I'm about to tell you, it'll probably change your life. So something got into me in 2004 to create a multi-decade view of my life and a plan. And so Earl Nightingale, the great Earl Nightingale, who created, The Strangest Secret, the first motivational record to ever sell 1 million copies, and now you can get on YouTube for free. And the strangest secret is we become what we think about. So I was thinking about the sales trainer that I want to become, the business that I wanted to build, and then I just took it one step further, and I started writing it all down. And I created, I don't know, it was 12 or 13-page document, essentially scripting out my future from 2004 to 2034. And so most people they think out into the future 5 years or less. They have a vision, perhaps, if they do, of their life of what they want to create. And I'll ask them, well, have you ever written it down? And they go, not really. And so if anybody watching this would say, when is my last productive day? In other words, how long do I plan on working until? My last productive day, this is another thing most people never do, September 12th, 2046, the day before I turned 76 years old. So I'm 49 now. I've got a 26-year plus run in me. And I've thought about the major things that I want to accomplish between now and then, and I've written it down. And so anybody watching this, if you'll expand your thinking, instead of thinking 5 years or less, think decades out, go all the way out to the end of your career. What is it you want to accomplish? Set your goals and write it down. It's such a simple thing, but very few people ever do this. And if you actually did it, my experience is it'll change your life. This is how I built an international training company from scratch, is with this exact style of thinking and then this strategy.
That is absolutely incredible. I love the long-term view because it does force you to think differently than just doing your 12-month or even 5-year goals. Kind of like Jeff Bezos did his 10,000-year clock to start thinking totally differently of what do I want to still be here 10,000 years from now, and what kind of society will that be, and how does this look then? So taking that long-term view allows you to think differently and bigger than you would in just a year or even 5. So I think that is an absolute great golden nugget.
Here's another point, is that if you don't have a long-term view, like let's say you're a real estate agent and you're just thinking, 2020 is right around the corner. So you're just thinking 2020, I'm just going to do 2020, right? So you might not focus on building relationships with people to then have the repeat and referral business down the road. In real estate, historically, you only need a realtor every 5 to 7 years.
Right.
Well, if you're not thinking about down the road them using you again. So like if I was a realtor and a client needs me every 5 to 7 years, I've got a 26-year run in me. That's 4 to 5 future transactions, which I turn one deal into 5 or 6 with the mindset. But if the realtor's not thinking like that, they don't build the systems in place to become the real estate solution for life. So it's like the long-term view, it like pivots everything.
Absolutely. And we'll keep going with that realtor example. If they're just focused on 2020, they're not thinking, hey, listen, I've got 6 transactions over this person over the next 30 to 40 years. How much is each transaction worth in terms of commission to me? Oh, wait, maybe that client's worth $50,000 to $100,000 in revenue. The way I would treat them, how I would stay in touch with them would go way beyond a yearly calendar or football schedule that cost me $1 or $2 if I knew that staying in front of them like every single month on a much better basis would turn into $100,000 over the next 30 years.
That's exactly it. And if you don't have the long-term view, you miss out on all of that thinking.
And that would totally change my prospecting plan. That would totally change my marketing plan. I was at a conference for financial advisors in another company that I own a week or 2 ago. And this was an entire division. And the speaker said, 2 questions that blew me away. That one question was, how many of you, when someone asks you the question, what do you do, have a value proposition that you can answer in one sentence that is not, I'm a financial advisor, which does not differentiate you at all. And I was the only one for that other business whose hand was up. And then he said, it's December 2019. How many of you have your 2020 business and marketing plans already done? And I was the only one with my hand up. And I couldn't believe that all of these advisors, most of them were pretty successful, hadn't even done those basic things that I learned my first year working with Dan Kennedy 15 years ago.
And what's ironic about a financial advisor, they're in the long-term planning business, right?
Right, and they're not they have an edge over realtors. Right, they've got an edge in that they get hopefully recurring trails and performance management fees every single quarter with those clients. So it's a whole lot easier to say, hey, I'm not seeing this person now and then I'm going to forget about them and hope they come back in 10 years. It's I'm going to see them every quarter forever. So that should be at the forefront of their mind, but obviously it is not, which is why we need amazing people like you. So we talked about the long-term view. I know your time's incredibly valuable. Give us one thing that drives you crazy about what is being taught to sales professionals and entrepreneurs in the industry.
Well, For me, I teach selling equals service, sell from honesty, integrity, and compassion. And I'm all about teaching sales techniques. Sales techniques it's important to know the techniques to be successful, but it's all in how you use the technique. And it really has to do with your beingness. Are you showing up from kindness, from service, from adding value? And, I don't know that everybody's necessarily teaching it in that way. We're in a commission-driven industry. That's how we get paid. It's very numbers focused. But there's also a huge human piece to this and a huge heart piece to this where you can become absolutely extraordinary if you really focus it from that serving place. And that's not always how other trainers approach it. So sometimes in my training, I'll use the word love, coming from a loving space, loving on your clients. And so I tend to be more from that viewpoint.
Okay, that makes sense. And obviously in the churn 'em and burn 'em mentality that some of the gurus are famous for in the it's a numbers game, love would be a foreign concept, but could totally, and I've seen it in my own business, totally transform it. For our folks who are listening and watching and want to learn more about your methods and where they can go to learn more, where is the best place for us to send them?
Yeah, so saleschampion.com is my main website. I'm big on social media, so if you just find me on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn, I'd love to connect with you there. Those are saleschampion.com, or just find me on social media.
All right. Seth Green, SharkPreneur, here with Eric Lofholm from SalesChampion.com. Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Seth.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level, but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.